Hello, 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 and welcome back to another ASMR movie review. Today, we are going to be reviewing the movie The Amateur. Now, The Amateur was a movie that I was so excited about. I thought that the trailer looked fantastic, and I love Rami Malek and Jon Bernthal and Lawrence Fishburne, in fact. And I could not wait for this movie to come out, and I saw it on the first day that it hit theaters. And if you're wondering why it took me this long to put my thoughts together for a review, well, it's because I was very disappointed. Now, there were some good aspects of this movie. In fact, I think the first half of this movie was pretty good, but then it really fell apart for me, and I'm curious if other people felt the same way. So we're gonna read through this because this movie was a little confusing to me, to be honest. And so we're gonna read through the plot, like I sometimes do, and I'll give my feedback on it. CIA cryptographer Charlie Heller is restoring an old Cessna as a present from his wife, Sarah, who leaves for a business trip in London. At the CIA's Decryption and Analysis Division, Charlie has befriended a field agent, codename The Bear, and an anonymous source, codename Inquiline. Classified files from Inquiline reveal Special Activities Center Director and Charlie's boss, Alex Moore, disguised politically motivated drone strikes as suicide bombings. Charlie is subsequently brought to CIA Director Samantha O'Brien, who informs him that Sarah, his wife, has been killed in a terrorist attack. So, one thing that I want to talk about real quick is the very beginning when his wife leaves for this trip and he does not go with her. He is invited to go with her, but he is scared of something. I'm not sure if he's scared of flying or if he's scared of leaving his job for a week, or if he just is the type of person that is just much more comfortable at home than anywhere else. But it is made clear that he is not the type of person to go on a trip or go on an adventure. This is just not Charlie's personality and who he is. And given that the movie is titled The Amateur, this feels about right, you know. Obviously from the trailer we get the idea that this guy's gonna go cause some trouble, and right from the get-go we see that he is not the trouble-causing kind. I like that he has a viable way of getting secret information. I think that makes sense, and I think his initial reaction to it of just being scared and kind of hiding it fits his character as this sort of tech nerd in the CIA. And so when he goes and finds out that his wife is killed, he has gotten two pieces of very traumatizing information very close together. One, that his boss had done some unsavory business deals / things, / like covered some stuff up, and that his wife had now died. A grieving Charlie soon presents his own findings. After an arms deal gone wrong, the 4 assailants took Sarah and the others hostage, killing her before escaping. Charlie identifies the suspects, but Moore and his deputy Caleb Horowitz insist that they are working to take down Schiller's entire network. Determined to avenge Sarah, Charlie confronts Moore with his incriminating orders, which caused hundreds of civilian and Allied casualties. Threatening to leak the information, Charlie demands the resources to personally hunt down the 4 assailants. Now, this part of the movie I actually liked. I was locked in at this point. Speaking of lock-ins, this is Charlie Heller's main lock-in, because as soon as he essentially blackmails his boss, he is in the crosshairs. Either he gets what he wants or he is in big trouble. And so this locks him into his story, his direction that he's going by, showing that he has this information. He is very much a target that his boss wants to kill, and based on the information that he was blackmailed with, we know that he definitely has the ability to kill and cover it up. So Charlie demands to be trained, and and also I like that they try to find a way out of it. His bosses try to find a way out of it. They're like, you don't have the information. You couldn't have gotten it out of this building. There's no way. And they go through all these steps to try to determine if it was even possible for Charlie to have gotten the information out of the CIA. And I like that part, because they don't just take him at his word. They're like, who is this guy? There's no way, right? And it also makes sense that Charlie would have all of this information on the bad guys. He was a CIA nerd. He was a tech guy. He obviously was getting information from his secret confidant person. And I think in general it was his job to acquire secret style information. So everything here made sense so far. And then he had to get trained, and his trainer was Lawrence Fishburne, who was not only his trainer, but going to be his assassin as soon as Moore figured out that he didn't have the information, or that Charlie Heller was no longer a threat. But they had to confirm that first, and they had to go along with Charlie Heller's plan until then. So, sent to train with Colonel Robert Henderson at Camp Peary, the gun-shy Charlie excels at bomb-making, but Henderson declares he is simply not capable of killing. Searching Charlie's home and office, Moore and Caleb discover a CD he hid in the bar's jukebox, but realize he was bluffing. Henderson is ordered to eliminate Charlie, who bugged the files he left in Moore's office, and has already left the country. This part was also, I thought, really well done. Charlie obviously needed to know if he was no longer safe and when they had found the information, and so he bugged the files that he gave them, that he knew that they would keep safe because they were incriminating. And so I liked all of Charlie's plan up until this point, and he got away from Henderson prior to being killed. That being said, though, he did not receive very much training, and he very clearly looked completely incapable of shooting a gun or killing someone. So, Charlie tracks down Gretchen, the first terrorist in Paris, following a lockpicking tutorial to break into her apartment. I liked this. I liked that as an amateur, he did not know how to pick a lock. And so he looked up a YouTube video, and it was a little bit silly and probably something that you would have done prior to arriving there. But that just played into more of him being an amateur. He didn't know to prepare for that, and he had to do it on the spot, and he did what anyone else would do, which is look up a YouTube tutorial. And so I liked that part. He still felt very amateur, very normal dude that you can relate to. And he is able to get into her apartment and figure out where she is, and he goes down and he does a pretty bold move, which is filling a compartment, an allergy test compartment thing with pollen, which obviously was not something Gretchen loved, and she wanted to be let out. And when she is supposedly dying, or acts like she's dying, Charlie does release her, which makes sense for his character. We've learned that he is not a killer. And so it makes sense that he releases her. And then there's a weird scene where she gets hit by a truck, which I thought was really kind of a cop-out thing, but it allowed him to get the first kill without actually doing the killing. So I understood why they put it there. The next part, taking Gretchen's phone, Charlie flees to Marseille, I don't know how to say these countries, I apologize, where Anderson corners him in a bar, but he sets off an explosion in the bathroom and escapes. He requests Inquiline's help and is smuggled to Istanbul, where Inquiline reveals herself as the Russian widow of a murdered ex-KGB officer. Having taken his place as Charlie's source, they trace Blazek to a luxury hotel in Madrid, while O'Brien learns more, has sent Henderson after Charlie and deploys her own operative. The meeting I thought was fine. It was between him and Henderson at the bar, and I like that Henderson very much thinks he's won, and then the one skill that Charlie was good at, the bomb making, allows him to escape, and I thought that was like a wonderful little oversight on Henderson's part, and a very just kind of smart planting and payoff, which I liked. I'm saying so many positive things about this movie so far. In Madrid, Charlie confronts Blazek as he swims in the hotel's rooftop pool, having rigged scuba equipment to decompress the air between the pool sheets of glass. When Blazek refuses to cooperate, Charlie shatters the glass and sends him plummeting to his death. He is nearly apprehended by Henderson, who is attacked by O'Brien's operative. In the struggle, Henderson is shot but kills the operative, and Charlie escapes. Caleb realizes that Charlie is communicating with someone and tracks down Inquiline. He sends a strike team to Istanbul, and Inquiline is killed as she flees with Charlie. This is where stuff starts to go downhill. First, it makes sense that Charlie is a very smart guy, but he is not a killer. He is not a killer. That has been established, and the death of this guy officially makes Charlie a killer. He blows the glass for the pool and sends a dude plummeting to his death. He becomes a killer. And this wasn't a big enough deal in the film. When you take a character who is so shy, so amateur, and they become a killer, that needs to be a moment, a big moment, a moment where you're like, whoa, there's a big shift in who this person is. And I felt like this movie just brushed over this entirely. And that is a big problem. It's the first of the big problems. Then when this team of people comes and invades the place that he's hiding with Inquiline, they operate like they know what they're doing, like they are both field agents. They're like, okay, let's do this, let's run, let's go. out of there and they drive, and knowing what we know about Charlie at this point, from the beginning, like I said, where he was so scared to even travel to London on a trip with his wife. Now we're saying that this guy knows how to run and escape from a place that's being raided. I don't think so. He does this very much like somebody who has been fully trained, and we know that he has not. We know that he has gotten very minimal training, and just based on personality alone, he was not the type of guy that would have ever even gone into this kind of training. And I know that, like, revenge and all of that can be a powerful motivator, but it doesn't turn you into somebody that you're not. At least not without a lot of time or something, you know. He just was now a field agent. All of a sudden he got his kill, and now he's a field agent, and realistically he gets a kill, he needs to freak out about it, and if he gets raided, he's probably like, holy crap, what am I doing? And he'd probably duck and cover under a doorway like any of us would. And I think they could have done so much more to push the fact that he was actually an amateur and had no clue what to do, but all of a sudden it seemed like he knew what to do, and that completely undermined his entire character in the movie. Continuing with this problem, Charlie tracks down Elish in Romania under the guise of selling him missiles and traps with an improvised explosive, forcing him to reveal that Schiller operates from a ship on the Baltic Sea. He takes Elish's phone and leaves him to die in the explosion. Again, leaves him to die. Leaves him to die. And again, he does this with such expert precision. This scene could have been straight out of a James Bond film. Having him open the case, walk out, haha, got you, you can't close the case, you're gonna die, and then just walks away, and just, the guy dies, and he's just like, cool guys, walk away from explosions, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, no, that is not Charlie Heller's character at all. Like, this entire movie just changed. I digress. Charlie arrives in Primorsk to spy on Schiller's operation. Bear confronts him, but Charlie refuses to end his vendetta. This is another wonderfully, completely useless scene. Jon Bernthal, love him as an actor. Dude was basically not even in this movie. This guy comes back for one random scene at the end where he's like, yo, you should, like, think about not doing this. This isn't who you are. And Rami Malek's like, no. And then he's like, okay, cool. Have a good one, bro. It is the weirdest scene. The absolute weirdest scene. It gives him an out, but nothing that we've seen in the last 30 minutes has made us think that Rami Malek wants an out, or Charlie Heller. Like, he's this cold-blooded field agent killer now. Like, I'm more scared of him than I am of Jon Bernthal's character, because we haven't seen Jon Bernthal do anything. I don't know. Charlie is captured and brought aboard Schiller's ship, coming face to face with Sarah's killer. Schiller offers him a loaded gun and the chance to take his revenge. Instead, Charlie reveals he has hacked the ship, steering it to the Gulf of Finland, where Schiller is taken into custody by Finnish police and Interpol. Moore and Caleb are arrested for their unsanctioned operations. After being visited by a recovered Henderson, Charlie finishes his plane's restoration and takes it for a flight. So, the ship scene, I get the idea, was kind of cool. He doesn't have to get the kill, he just wants them to be arrested. But that only works if he hasn't killed before. This is like his way of avoiding having to kill. But he just killed 2 dudes. So, at that point, I don't understand why he doesn't just shoot Schiller. That was his whole game plan. He was ready to die. He wanted to shoot his wife's killer. No matter what, he wanted to get his revenge. And he was willing to kill to get there, but he wasn't willing to kill the dude he was trying to kill. That all seemed a little bit off to me. This guy being an amateur, planning to be put into a hostage situation and have guns pointed at him, and him not freaking out, him just being like, okay, he's a little shaken, but he's like that confident shaken. He's like that, I'm gonna get you shaken, because he knows that he's taking control of the ship. But like most people, you point a gun at them, they're gonna be freaking out, you know what I mean? And I like that they sort of, well, like is a strong word. I would have liked that they like went back to this idea of him holding a gun and shooting somebody point blank like he did with Henderson earlier in the film during training, and seeing whether he was capable of shooting or not. It would have worked if it wasn't for the other kills, if it wasn't for the fact that he had already changed so drastically over the course of the film, unrealistically changed, but then all of a sudden at the end they go back to like who he was back in training. No, it just didn't make any sense, and I was so lost by the time he gets back and finishes building his plane and goes and flies his plane that didn't emotionally land for me at all. So the amateur, not good. I see sort of what they were going for, and I just think it was really poorly executed. I don't know if there was a game plan there that got lost at some point along the way. But yeah, the like middle of the film and him progressing through the journey was just James Bond. We had the amateur, James Bond, back to the amateur. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Thank you guys so much for being here and watching this movie review. Hopefully, if you saw the amateur, you liked it more than I did. Or if you didn't, I hope you liked this review. Please let me know your thoughts on the movie in the comments. Let me know if you thought the same as what I did, or if you liked this movie. And if you did, tell me what I got wrong or what I missed, because something didn't add up for me. Okay, thank you guys so much. Have